It's the 90s, everyone. I've got my throwback neon shirt on. I've got an actual VHS tape. Let's talk about VHS 94. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watch or Pass, and I'm here to talk to you about VHS 94, which is coming to Shudder on October 6, 2021. It's a Shudder original, so this is a film that was made for Shudder, and it does feel like it's made for Shudder. In case you don't know, VHS is this ancient format that we used to watch videos on. You could watch movies on them. They were poor quality. You had to rewind after. That's where Be Kind Rewind came in. You'd rent the movie, and then you would hopefully rewind it before you returned to the video store, because the worst thing possible was someone would rent a movie, bring it home, pop it in, and get ready to watch, and then you have to wait for like 10 minutes while the movie rewinds. Also, they were poor quality, and you could record over them. So that's part of the charm of VHS 94, which is a found footage anthology. I think there's like 5 different short films and then some sort of overarching story for this. And you get a lot of really good kind of 90s gore, horror, action, and some 90s tropes. It also showcases a lot of young talent that I liked. I like seeing a lot of directors that I've come to know because I watch Shudder, and you get to see them all make short, fun, ridiculous movies. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the film, 3 things I liked, a couple things I didn't love, and then that's it. The film comes out on October 6, 2021. If you want my quick review, I think it was good. There were a few things I didn't love, but overall, it's on Shudder. You can stream it. I would stream it. There's like 5 different movies in there, so there's going to be something that you like out of them. Even if you don't like everything, you'll find something you enjoy, and it's kind of fun to see some of the 90s callbacks, especially if you grew up in the 90s. So, as I mentioned, VHS 94 is a horror compilation. So there's an overarching story about a police raid or something that goes wrong, and then they find these VHS tapes that have weird, strange stories on them, and they kind of relate overall. And so you get to see these short films essentially, and the whole movie has this kind of like film grain, VHS grain. There's like a play, text in the upper left corner, and you get some of that cruddy static that you got in the VHS tapes, and so it feels like a very different movie. I think it might also be in 4:3 aspect ratio, which is what VHS tapes were in. So it definitely feels like a throwback, and that's kind of fun. It's kind of fun and different, right? It feels like a movie that was made in a different time. So things I loved about it, the 90s style. The 90s style was great. I mean, not only just the normal VHS things I told you about, it has some news clips in there that feel like they come from a different time, like maybe more chauvinistic time, more like energetic, like, hey Gail, it's time to talk about the news, like that kind of stuff. You also got like a couple funny you also had like a funny commercial in there that was directed by Steven Kostanski, who did Psycho Gorman, who I talked to earlier this year. So you get a lot of like fun 90s riffs and fun like 90s style that felt, if you've grown up in the time, it felt like things that were inspired by and riffs on tropes that occurred then. So I really like that. You got clothing that was 90s style. You had some effects that were 90s style. You had television shows that were 90s style. It really did feel like a fun little time capsule that didn't feel like you could discover it, but it felt like a time capsule and a funny representation of that time. The second thing I really loved is the variety, and this could be a double-edged sword, right? Because if there's one thing you really like, you're like, well, I want to see more of that. But this, you have about 5 different short films that all have, they're all directed by different people, so you get kind of a different feel in each of them, and they all have like different horror elements that they do well. There was one in the middle that was kind of like an awake that I really liked. I thought that was actually my favorite one of them. But they all have their charm, and so you get to see the different different styles and different directors. So in this, you will find something that you like. If you like horror, you will find something that you like from this. I guess the double-edged sword is, I kind of wanted to see more of that one that I liked, but I guess I can go and research that director and then figure out what else they've done and then watch their work. Or so it's a little on the viewer. Then the viewer can go and explore that catalog. But it's really fun to see a lot of these directors who have done movies that I really liked. You've got Simon Barrett, who did Séance, which also just came to Shudder. You've got Timo Tjahjanto. I butchered that, but he did. But that was the director of May the Devil Take You To, which had really good effects. I think it was Indonesian. I think it was an Indonesian horror film. And so you get like a really good variety in there. And the last thing I really liked are the over-the-top effects. Like, this feels like it kind of goes with the 90s style, but there are some really over-the-top special effects. There's like a really crappy looking animatronic rat in one that looked perfectly out of a bad 90s film. There's a lot of gore. There's a lot of like face melting, because some of the things can actually just like melt your face. It all feels very over the top. It feels like if you remember like RoboCop, when the person fell into the toxic vat, like that kind of stuff. So there, it's on point and stylish, and it does definitely contribute to the overall feel of this film. Things I didn't love, some of the effects, but for the most part, it had really good practical effects. I really thought that they were enjoyable, and then with the film-ish grain, it made them look low quality, which is exactly what you want. But then occasionally there would be some CG, or at least what I think is CG, especially in some of the gunshots, like some of the wounds from the guns. The blood looked like it was kind of just add on in CG, which it was weird because it was noticeable even through the like low resolution and the VHS filter that they put on. And it definitely stood out because so much of this film did have really great practical effects, like really great over the top, ridiculous practical effects. And so those, those types of instances just kind of turn me off. But CG is one of my pet peeves. So, you might not notice, you might not care. I noticed it, and I thought it didn't look that great. The other thing I didn't really love, I didn't really feel like the overarching story came together at the end. I wanted something that kind of related more to what we were seeing, but it did kind of feel like you had some separate stories and then this like weird ending involving creatures. And so, I kind of would have liked it if maybe the movies themselves were a little bit more tied together. But I don't know, maybe that would have actually hurt the film, because maybe if they tried to have a through line throughout the various stories, then you wouldn't have the directors being as creative and doing, everything that they were doing to make this such a fun variety anthology. So I'm kind of torn on both of those. Ultimately, I enjoyed it, and I think, if you have any interest in horror, you will enjoy at least one of them, right? There's a very likely chance you'll enjoy one. You'll probably enjoy multiple, and if you're a 90s kid, you'll probably enjoy the overall feel. So that is VHS 94. It's coming to Shudder on October 6, 2021. It's not super long. It's about an hour 40. I felt like it could have been cut down a little bit, but overall, if you want to watch it, you can watch it in chunks. You can watch it film at a time, and then you can cut that up as well. But it's coming on October 6, 2021 to Shudder. And thanks so much for watching. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.